It's only really domestic abuse if there's physical violence.
Domestic abuse is actually about one person in a relationship trying to control and have power over the other. This might or might not include physical violence, along with devaluing the other person, isolating them, using sex to degrade them, exhausting them, using any children to further their abuse, and controlling the finances.
Domestic abuse happens to those women, from lower socioeconomic groups. Women from other countries, it doesn't happen to women I know. We're not like those women.
The only common denominator for domestic abuse is an abuser, and they are from all walks of life. Thinking abuse happens to those women makes us feel safer and blames those who do experience abuse. We need to recognise abuse happens to us women and remove the barriers of false separation between those who do experience abuse and those who do not.
There are a lot of people who falsely report domestic abuse or rape, so any allegations should probably be taken with a pinch of salt.
The statistics for false reports of rape or domestic abuse to police are no higher and may even be lower than for other crimes. If someone shares with you that they have been abused, the most important thing to do is to believe them.
Domestic abuse is a relationship issue, and relationship counselling should be the first port of call for couples.
Domestic abuse is not a relationship issue, it is the issue of an abusive person. Relationship counselling assumes both parties have equal power, which is not the case where there is abuse.
Domestic abuse happens because of things like debt, drug, alcohol issues, unemployment, stress, maybe childhood trauma, mental illness.
Although all of these issues can be related to domestic abuse, they are not the cause. These issues exist in the lives of people who don't abuse, as well as those who do. Primarily, domestic abuse happens because someone chooses to behave in a way that is abusive and is motivated by beliefs of owning their partner and the entitlement of doing what they want. It is these beliefs that need to be addressed if an abuser wants to change their behaviour.
Domestic abuse happens at almost equal levels to men as it does to women.
The majority of men who experience domestic abuse are in gay relationships or are adult children of a woman being abused by a partner. Where men are experiencing abuse, research has found that when men leave a relationship, they are not at the same level of risk from an abusive female partner as women are from a male abuser. Men need good support and help, but to end abuse, we must acknowledge that domestic abuse disproportionately affects women.
If it was that bad, someone who is being abused would just leave.
If someone is being abused, their choices should not be the focus. Instead of asking, why doesn't she just leave? We should be asking, why doesn't he stop? An abuser will ensure their victim thinks they cannot cope alone. It can appear financially impossible to leave the situation, and a woman is most at risk of being murdered when she is trying to leave an abuser. Leaving can be very dangerous and should be done wherever possible with support from trained professionals.
Abusive men aren't bad fathers and wherever possible should have access to their children.
By being abusive to the mother of the children, he is being a bad father. A good father respects and values the mother of the children, whether they are his biological children or not. Evidence shows it is not in the best interests of children to have access to fathers who have been abusive without the intervention of a perpetrator program. Witnessing domestic abuse is a recognised form of child abuse and must be treated as such.
Domestic abuse is about anger, and people who get abused wind their partners up.
Although abusers may appear angry, they are totally in control of their actions. This is why they will only smash their partner's things and why they usually manage not to use abuse in public places. Nobody but the abuser is responsible for their abusive behaviour.
If an abuser says he is sorry and appears to be repentant, his partner should be reconciled to him and accept he has repented.
Although it is possible for abusers to change and be transformed through God's power, very often an abuser will appear repentant or appear to become a Christian in order to gain space for his abuse to continue. If he appears to come to faith in Christ and or appears repentant or remorseful, this cannot be taken at face value. Regardless of whether change has taken place, the woman has still been impacted horrifically by the abuse she has suffered, and she has the right to choose not to reconcile. If the perpetrator has repented, he will understand this and support her in her decisions.
Domestic abuse is a private matter. It's not for us to get involved.
Domestic abuse is both a public safety issue and a human rights issue. It is a crime, and in the UK, at least 25% of women will be abused by a partner or ex at some point in their lifetime, and over 750,000 children a year witness domestic abuse. This is about social justice and requires all of us to do our part to see those who are suffering empowered, abusers held accountable, and communities working to bring about equality.